I'm not the present, no judgment, I'm here now. I'm in the present, no judgment.
Hello and welcome back to Here in the Now podcast with your host, J.G. LaRochette from Mindful Life Project. This is episode 4 of Here in the Now podcast. Thank you for joining. Hope you caught the first 3 episodes on this mindfulness for educator wellness journey that we're on here as a community. Here we are, and episode 4 is ready for you. In the first few episodes, we've gone through our emotions and how to use those as messages. We've talked about the lived sense of coming back to school, and that we've metabolized and been able to process what happened last school year. And we really are just creating this community of practice, right? So if you're an educator, if you work with young people, if you work in this system, this is for you. If you're a principal, if you're a leader, this is for you. You can find us on Spotify or on Mindful Life Project TV, on YouTube, also on Anchor. Please send comments, spread the word. This is a growing community and you're an important part of it. So in episode 4, we're going to talk about healing. What does it mean to be a healing educator? Oftentimes we're holding space, we're creating environments that are supposed to be really based on that sense of belonging, that community connection, that trust, that safety. But I don't know about you. When I think about healing, I used to think about healing to a destination, that it's something that's happening, then I'll get to it and I'll be healed. And the more I've done this work now, 20 years in education, and of course, in this human experience for 42 years now, the more I realize healing is not a destination. It's actually a daily practice. There's the mental, emotional, and physical well-being. And if we're not working on healing, if we're not working on supporting every layer of that, there's going to be a lot of pain inside. So check in with yourself as we try to on all of our podcasts here in the now. Check in on the mind. What does it feel like in this moment as the school year's gone on, as you maybe had a relaxing or not so relaxing summer, as the pandemic has gone on? What's that thinking mind doing? Is it really fast? Is it slow? Is it spacious? Is it cramped? Right? Where is that mental capacity? Are the recurring thoughts that connect to emotions, recurring thoughts of maybe not wanting to be in this experience the way it's at? Is there resistance? Check out the emotional landscape. Do you feel well resourced in that heartscape? Do you feel on a daily basis you're able to really be with yourself with compassion and be with your youth in that same way, and that the next morning you're on reset, clean slate, let's do it again? Or is there residue? Is that continued going as the space container person to hold with young folks? Again, if you're elementary, group of young folks, if you're middle and high school, groups of young folks, during a time by which we're living in such a tragic mental and emotional health pandemic that only is increasing as we are pushing through it. So here we are. We're talking about healing. How can we heal ourselves in community of educators as human beings on this planet during such a challenging time? So what are those things that you're doing that can help you heal that inner child, right? I think of education as a great place to be in the community with young people. And often a lot of us had trauma and stress from that experience of being the student, right? Like literally, we are pain bodies that have either processed, digested, healed, and empowered and are at it, or we have the pain of that child that was hurt, that was yelled at, that was bullied, that was minimized, that was pushed to the side, that was abandoned, or the opposite side, that was welcomed, nourished, loved, unconditionally cared for on a campus. Your authentic self should show up. So which one of those two balancing points is more relevant to your life? Was your education experience in schools one where your mind, body, heart, academic, whole child was really supported? And then how does that show up in your lived experiences as an educator and the systems that you're working in? I don't know about you, but I still see that we are not, as a society, creating mental and emotional health as the foundation of our experience. Even the way we return to schools, right? Like we literally put on masks and try to go back to being in the systems the same way after a year and a half of challenges, 2 years. And again, like we're not talking about something new. The mental health crisis in young people and adults has been escalating for years. From 2012 to now, 10 years, young folks are suffering at rates that are just beyond tragic. And then the adults that are in those spaces, if we're a parent, if we're a teacher, if we're a coach, if we're a principal, if we're a counselor, if we're the yard aide, whatever we're doing, that is absorbed in our being. So how do we start to work with ourselves and work in community? If it's a counselor, a therapist, a person, your trainer, your personal wellness practices, we cannot do this in isolation. And that's really what this podcast is about. We live in a society that thinks we have to do everything I, me, versus we. And when we start to really build wellness practices, it's not about me. It's not about I. It's about we. It's relational. So we know that the science of wellness shows pretty clearly, thousands of years of research, thousands of years of practice and embodiment, but 30, 40 years of research from Western science is saying the main components to wellness, right? Obviously, the foundation is connection. How do we connect with ourselves? How do we connect those around us? And how healthy is that inner, right, and outer connection? And then daily practices of compassion, heartfulness, as we call it with students, gratitude, right? Seeing where we should be grateful for ourselves. And that's a personal level, like gratitude for our lived being, our courage, our resilience, but also all that we're surrounded by and all that we are provided, right? And then this practice of mindfulness, right? Which is really intertwining of all those. And the science is showing us we can literally change our DNA. We can literally change the architecture of our brain. Why is this important? Because guess what? If I need to get stronger physically, I can't just sit on the couch and watch Netflix all day. So again, listeners out there, this is a call to continue to grow a community of healing and a community of wellness and reaching out and connecting with our peers, connecting with our leaders that are around us, and making sure that we are meeting the mental, emotional needs of ourselves as the adults on campuses. And that will provide our young people a revolutionary change of the space they're in the schools. So just check in on what I've been saying for a little bit. What's arising for you? Does it feel overwhelming? Does it feel hopeless? Or have you been seeing some shifts in yourself, right? When we start practicing these radical acceptance practice of welcoming this full human experience as it is without needing to change it, what happens there? When we end this struggle of pushing life away as the way it's arising, instead welcoming it fully, when we meet those moments with our mindful skills, right? The breath, sounds around us, our senses, the body, what the body's telling us about this moment, what it's saying we should be listening to, coming in with some mindful emotions, which we practiced in previous podcasts. Here we are, right? In these emotions that oftentimes we attach to, we think that are wrong. These thoughts that we attach to and start listening to and thinking they're right, that they're the real truth, when really they often go to the negative bias. And of course, heartfulness and gratitude. So here we are, everybody. I hope that if anything comes out of this podcast, that you realize that healing is a constant journey that takes investment. I'm not there yet. I'll be fully honest with you. right? For a while, I was like, oh, once I have 10 years of mindfulness and daily practice, all those things I do, I thought, oh, I'll get there. And the truth is that what getting there means to me now is that I'm never gonna be healed. Right? I'm going to continue investing in healing and being with even those parts of me that have been hurt, who have been pained, who have had situations as an educator, as a human, as a family member, right? My lineage of what might have happened in the past of my ancestors, that all is where I am in this moment, but it's not who I am. So today we're going to do a special mindfulness practice that for me is really important for my healing journey. So I hope it is for you too. It's called the Wheel of Skills. So everybody, in Mindful Life Project, we talk about 7 main skills. And in this practice, we're going to do about a minute per skill. And again, everybody, remember the beauty of the practice of mindfulness is we're gently bringing awareness to the here and now without judgment. We cannot do it wrong. The moment we realize we weren't paying attention, that was a celebration point. That's where we retrain the mind to be back here now, not in the future, not in the past. So let's get to it. Let's do our mindfulness of the day. Let's work on this healing together. You can repeat after me, the Mindful Life Project way if you'd like. I've got my feet on the floor. I've got my spine in aligned. Got my hands in my lap, my heart to the sky. And gently allowing the eyes to close if that feels comfortable, or soft gaze below, whatever feels better to cultivate present moment awareness with compassion. So let's begin. And just welcoming ourselves in this beautiful, powerful dance with the full human experience. We'll do 7 skills today, about a minute each. So going from the top of your head to your feet in about 20, 30 seconds, just gently noticing areas of tightness, looseness, areas of tingling and temperature, areas of contraction or resistance, areas of openness and ease, without judging which it is. Just keep going down, maybe at your legs now, until you meet your feet in about 10 seconds. Now, just notice those toes. Just notice the whole body for about 5 seconds. Just bring in the body, maybe even notice the breath, an expansion of the whole body with the breath in. And then the breath out. Now moving from skill 3, body awareness, to skill 4, heartfulness. So whatever's arising as we work on fully, radically loving ourselves, deep compassion. What are maybe some of those stories that we were taught, narratives we were given by others about maybe how we aren't good at this or not enough? Can we meet that pain that might have been coming year after year from those narratives with compassion? Meeting it like we'd meet a baby who needs to be held with care and deep empathy. Hold your own heart with that right now. Just sending yourself that unconditional, loving acceptance. You are exactly who you need to be. Now shifting from heartfulness, compassion, moving to our emotions. So maybe the emotions have shifted. Maybe there was some before the practice that were rising. Maybe they're still there. Maybe they've changed. But whatever they are, we just bring them in with that care, that welcoming, that befriending. Just messages. Not good, not bad, not right, not wrong. Just messages. Now allowing the emotions to continue to be there. Now bringing the thoughts. Thoughts connect to emotions, emotions connect to thoughts. What's that mental activity? How much of it might be future thinking or past thinking? How much is present thinking? And again, just watching. The beauty of the practice, we can just watch. We don't have to judge. We don't have to have an opinion. We don't have to be entangled. Just watch. Just another 5 seconds or so. Just watch the next thought. Future, past, present. Or spaciousness. That's the practice. Whatever is present, we welcome it. And we'll close practice with the 7th skill, gratitude. Those aren't in any specific order, right? Every skill is as valuable as the next. Every one of us can use skills in different ways. So just today's practice of gratitude, the offering is give yourself a lot of gratitude for sitting right now, for having the courage to be with self in this revolutionary way, for whatever's arising, for being with it. Maybe other things you're grateful for, and we'll close practice with the sound of the bell. So you can keep on going through your gratitude practice. When you hear the bell, focus on it. It'll be one sound as long as it's there. And whenever your body's ready, it's always your practice. You come out of it, you stretch, you shake, you move it, whatever is needed. I am beyond grateful to be a part of your journey in a simple way as this podcast. That inner child, yeah, I can feel it in my body, right? That inner child that maybe hasn't healed all the way shows up in our lives. Maybe that stress, that trauma from being an educator, just human, that residue is strong. I hope that you know that you deserve every ounce of every well-being practice and resource and connection for yourself and your young people. Again, be well, everyone. See you next week. Thank you again. You've been at Here in the Now podcast with J.G. LaRoche at the Mindful Life Project.
I'm in the present, no judgment, I'm here in the now. I'm in the present, no judgment, I'm here in the now.